everybody. Happy Friday. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeVries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is Dennis Tzeng.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Collider Movie Talk. It's Friday today. Apparently, Friday is Transformers Day because they know me and Rocha are on the panel for Movie Talk, so they release all their trailers, all their clips, all their posters, just so we can talk about it.
Also here is Perri Nemiroff.
We have one Transformers video on the lineup, but do you know how many Power Rangers clips we're talking today? 4.
Mm-hmm.
And also here is John Rocha.
Yeah, it's not only St. Patrick's Day, it's Transformers Friday, baby. That's what we're talking about. And you know why it takes 4 clips to 1? Because you know why, quality-wise. 4 clips to 1 clip of Transformers. We'll get to it. We're going
to get to it right now. Sinead, let us know what's going on with Transformers.
Paramount Pictures has released that new trailer for Transformers: The Last Night, the 5th film in the Transformers franchise. Once again, directed by Michael Bay, the new trailer dropped on actress Isabella Monet's Facebook page, adding to the idea that she is being set up as the new young lead of the franchise. The trailer gives us a grander look at the set pieces we'll see in the movie, along with a better look at some Dinobots in action. Transformers: The Last Night also stars Mark Wahlberg, Anthony Hopkins, Laura Haddock, Stanley Tucci, John Goodman, John Turturro, and Josh Duhamel. It opens in theaters on June 23rd of this year. Dennis, what did you think about the new trailer for Transformers: The Last Night?
All right, before I get into the actual trailer itself, I want to make it clear that the overall message of the trailer I am behind. I'm behind female empowerment. I'm behind, having females in leading roles and in not just the custom standard roles that we've been used to in the past. However, watching this trailer and seeing the way it's all about execution, and the way they executed this, I thought was it was cringeworthy. Just seeing how she's talking to the camera, it felt like I was watching a Nike or Reebok commercial. It didn't feel like a trailer for a movie. And just all that false bravado of her running out there, this little girl, and there's like this robot that's like the size of a building coming at her. And she's like, "You think I'm afraid of you?" Terrible, terrible, terrible. Rocha, I know you have a different opinion of this.
I really do.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm also behind the message of this trailer. I absolutely love this. I don't think you needed to state these things because we've been seeing female leads now more and more throughout the last few years, going far back, all the way back to Ripley in the original Alien. They didn't say, she didn't do a thing where she was like, "I'm a woman and I'm going to handle this alien." She didn't need to do that. But they released this trailer during the Beauty and the Beast screenings. That was why. They wanted to appeal to the young women that would be coming to see this movie, so to see Beauty and the Beast. So to me, I thought it was a smart marketing campaign. I'm a man. I don't know what seeing something like that as a young woman makes me feel. So for me, if young women are seeing that and getting empowered by it, feeling strong, feeling like they're part of that community, then I think bravo to them for doing that with this trailer. I get that there's a lot of backlash, but it's mostly from male critics online about this trailer. But I don't have a problem with it. I get the MTV video type of vibe that it has, and it's kind of looking at you like an infomercial almost. I get it. It does feel like a commercial rather than a trailer, and that's okay. It's an interesting move to try to appeal to this younger demographic, and that's the people who are going to keep going for these movies and coming to see these movies, and they've never overtly tried to appeal to the female demographic in these movies. And Michael Bay is not really known for being, that respectful to women, and when you hear the stories behind the scenes of how he casts people in movies. So to me, this is kind of a little bit of a smart move by them to try to go for this market and appeal to this market. But the trailer itself, the movie clips were fantastic for me. And there was the stuff, there was like Darth Vader TIE fighter type vehicles in the trailer, which was so intense. I was like, where's this coming from? Because for 2 seconds I had this
coming from Star Wars.
That's what I'm saying. For 2 seconds I had, is it a Star Wars Transformers crossover? Because then I'm gonna go crazy. There's something happening in my pants I don't understand. Like all this, so it was just so great to me. I like the Dinobot babies, and to me personally, Isabel Moner, I'm such a fan of this because she is half Latina. She's Peruvian. Her mom or her dad's Peruvian. So as a fellow South American, to me, or son of South American parents, to me, seeing this made me even happier for her. I like that they're making her the central lead. And your complaint, I get your complaint, take me on, blah, 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 but that's just her bravado and trying to show her strength. And kids don't always do the smartest things. And so to me, it felt believable that she would try to fight this
I don't believe
way.
a little kid would see a giant robot and run up against it. I don't know.
We saw X-23. She was Latina. She didn't have a problem.
Well,
You know
she
what I'm
had
saying?
actual
Latinas don't
she
have
actually,
a problem. is what
She
I'm
actually
saying.
has powers, though. Perry, what did you think?
Calm yourselves. I'm actually going to split the difference here a little. I don't think this was the greatest trailer. The execution did not work as well as I imagined they intended, but I will give them a lot of credit because the big monster at the box office this week is Beauty and the Beast. And how do you pronounce her last name again?
Moner.
It's definitely Moner. Again, I don't think the execution of this trailer was great, but I think it could have been a lot worse with someone not as talented as she. There's something about her, even though some of the lines might have felt a little silly, she's rocking them pretty well. And there's something about her that I found really captivating, and she made it work. But you put someone as popular as she is in front of a Beauty and the Beast movie, that's a smart marketing move. So good on them for that. And you know, something felt a little funny to me because it didn't feel like a normal trailer. But at the same time, how many trailers do we get just on a weekly basis? How many trailers do we get for one single movie? So the fact that they tried to do something a little different, I found a little refreshing. And if this movie was not connected to the Transformers film franchise, and if just out of the blue this thing had dropped and I had watched it, I guarantee you that I would have been a little intrigued by what I saw here, but, you know, that's in a different world. This is part of the Transformers film franchise, so even though a lot of the sequences did look cool, I know what that tends to lead to in these movies, so it makes me concerned, but I do give them credit for trying something new and something that I think is going to be very effective for that demographic that's going to see Beauty and the Beast this weekend.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the actress. I think she was fine in it, and I think she's, like, as the lead character, I have no problem with that. I just didn't like the whole... With all those lines and then also talking to the camera, you know, it just seems so forced in there. It's like, why not just have the trailer with her as the lead action character and just doing all this stuff? So I want to ask Sinead and Wendy, what did you guys think about the trailer? Sinead?
So I didn't hate the trailer. I thought it was good for what it was, and yeah, it's cheesy, but like I almost expect that from Transformers movies, so it doesn't actually disappoint me because I'm like, Transformers movies are supposed to be a little bit on the cheesy side, and they also are supposed to appeal to younger people. And I also agree with Rocha because, they put this trailer in front of Beauty and the Beast, and they took out that extended clip of just the kids, and they played that at the Kids' Choice Awards, and like everyone went nuts. So I think that they know what they're doing right now. Like, that was their entire intention with this second trailer push out. Like, they were going to release clips and the trailer ahead of appealing to younger kids. The little African-American boy is on a Nickelodeon TV show. He's huge. Yeah. And Isabella Moner, she is also huge. So I think that they know that they had an audience to appeal to for March. And so that was why the trailer looks as, for lack of a better word, lame as it does. Like, it's not that exciting for us because we're adults, right? And we've seen a lot of Transformers movies by now. But that was their intention, and I can see it, and when I watch it, it makes sense to me, which is why I'm almost like forgiving of the lack of like, in it, because I'm like, it's kids, it's for kids. All of this is for kids. Like,
Wendy?
Well, I mean, now that I know that this trailer was played in front of Beauty and the Beast, it makes more sense why they did it in that way to appeal to the younger audience that are at Beauty and the Beast. However, I gotta agree with Dennis. It seems so much more like a PSA versus a trailer. Now, if you want to push forward that like strong girl can fight message, I feel like it didn't need to be like, do I run like a girl? You bet I run like a girl. Like, it didn't need that. Show her and spotlight her in different clips in the movie. It didn't need her speaking to the camera like she's some Mockingjay propaganda. I felt like if they just focus on her highlights in the movie and her kicking butt, it would have been such a stronger trailer.
Rocha, you have any other thoughts on it?
I absolutely get that. I totally, what Wendy just said, absolutely, because we saw Atomic Blonde, and we're just like, oh, this is awesome. She's kicking ass all over the place, and it's great.
Really like that trailer.
Yeah, it looks great. You don't need her to say, I'm an assassin, and I'm a girl. I kill like a girl, you know? You don't need her to say this. But, like I said, it's appealing to a certain demographic. we're going to go. They know we're going to go. It's the younger people that they want to get into the theater. And these movies are extensively longer and longer as they come out. They come out with longer run times. And so they know they're going to do more. And they purposely pushed Wahlberg to the side, kind of. And he's the main guy coming back from the last one. And so they want to appeal to this demographic because they know that, as I said at the beginning here, they want these people to keep coming back for the next iterations of this franchise. And they know that we're already going to give them their money. It's the young people that are going to still be alive coming back to come and see these things. And so I think it was a smart move, but I totally get people's anger and complaints about it. Absolutely. But I think you've got to try things, and it's kind of bold for a franchise that's already this established to try something new like this to see what happens. And whether it fails or it succeeds, at least they're trying something different and trying to appeal to a demographic, and I can't fault them for that.
Well, I mean, the beginning does have kind of a more Stranger Things type of vibe with the kids and the girl and whatnot.
The boyfriend stuff.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, maybe they're going that route, and then the talking to the camera thing just killed me.
And they must have shot that on set like months ago to have this idea that they were going to go with this direction, because she looks like she just finished shooting those scenes that they. I
was busy analyzing her shot for that reason. I mean, it's a movie that cost how much money to make? For all I know, they have it in the budget to reset something, but it did look like it looked like she was sitting in that action set piece that she was in the actual cut of the film, and she was talking to us from that. And
But what if it's actually in the movie? What if it's like...
I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't know, man. I could see them cutting that into that movie. It's part of the...
But like as footage, but probably not the footage that way. Probably like all like jumbled footage, like all like kind of affected footage. So it looks like you're watching it through a little screen.
Yeah,
I could
something
see that.
like that.
I could see that. That I could see. But not the way it is now, like a PSA.
Does she give you guys like a Michelle Rodriguez type of vibe?
But better? Yes. I'm sorry.
All right, let's move on to the next topic.
It looks like Sony is putting the fast track on their Venom movie. It was just last year when we learned that the studio was putting the wheels in motion on their long-developed cinematic spin-off for the iconic Spider-Man villain. Now, according to Exhibitor Relations, Sony has added the film to the release calendar for October 5th, 2018. It's unclear at this point if this will be a part of the MCU or if it will be a totally separate movie. Perri, your thoughts on a Venom movie at Sony?
I was pretty surprised when this news broke. I knew this was something that they've been considering for a long time, but first when it was put on a calendar out of nowhere, because we've just been thinking about, DC and the MCU right now. And this was completely off my radar just because I thought that Sony was taking their superhero franchise, what they have, in a completely different direction, and that it just wasn't a thing because of their deal with Marvel. So now when you put this back on the calendar, and for October 5th, 2018, no less, damn, that is a quick turnaround. But the most interesting part of the story to me is the fact that there's just no word on whether or not this is part of their Marvel deal. So what do you really do with it? I just can't imagine a Venom movie that isn't connected to Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is part of Marvel's deal. So does this have to be completely separate? Yet at the same time, having it be completely separate, maybe that gives them a lot of room to play, and it could wind up giving us a really interesting movie. And Spider-Man 3, I was really disappointed by how they treated Venom, and I've always wanted more Venom and to see a better Venom since that. But I'm just very eager to hear more details about what this really is. I want an official statement from Sony saying, on behalf of Sony Pictures and Marvel Studios, or whatever the situation is going to be, I just want to know who really has their hands on this project.
Rocha?
Yeah, this is interesting. You're right, Perri. It kind of came out of the blue. It was like they had already, with Spider-Man coming out, already getting like a lot of buzz from the trailer with Spider-Man Homecoming. This is interesting. This is an interesting move by Sony. Are they taking advantage of the possibility that Spider-Man is going to reignite people's interest in this character and the villains of this character? And remember, Venom was already existing before it attached to Spider-Man, right? It happened in Secret Wars, in the storyline of Secret Wars. I think that's correct. And Venom came on, and then he brought Venom back. So he thought it was a new, like, symbiotic suit. And he brought that back to Earth, and it ended up becoming this thing. Then it attached to Eddie Brock, and then all this stuff. And now Flash Thompson is on, and it makes it more of a, in the comics, that is, he's more of a hero now, kind of, Venom, than he was before, because then you have Carnage, which is another version of that. So are they going to do Venom and Carnage in this movie? Are they going to have Flash Thompson in this movie? Or this whole thing where they had Spider-Man go to Marvel, but they still kept the rights to Spider-Man? Does this mean Tom Holland could still make a cameo to a degree in this? I don't know, but the idea of Sony taking advantage of this, it seems a little like kind of way out of the blue. And what are they trying to stay? It's like that person that's trying to stay in the conversation, you know, and it's like, oh yeah, me too. And I don't know if that's a smart move by them, because they haven't done well with some of their stuff coming out of Sony's Fantastic Four twice now, and so it's like, well, what's our confidence?
That was Fox.
I'm sorry, Fox. I'm sorry, but what's their confidence with Sony coming in with the Spider-Man stuff? What's the confidence people have that they're going to get it right with Venom? And I don't know if that's high amongst the people who enjoy these movies.
Well, this is a surprise to me as well, because when they announced the Venom and also the Sinister Six spin-off movies, that was back in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man days when Sony was purely doing Spider-Man stuff. Now they're with the MCU. We don't know if this Venom project or this movie is going to be connected to the Spider-Man that's coming out in a few months, or if it's connected to the MCU at large. I hope it is. I hope that Marvel has something to do with it. It was just surprising because, yeah, you're right. Like next year, October is fairly quick. That means they've got to get it up and running soon.
I mean, for all we know, they could have been planning all this and just not have had any news broke. So perhaps they do have a cast, and, you know, the wheels have been churning more than we really know right now. I will say, I'm not going to spoil anything. There's a very interesting Reddit theory out there right now, and it has spoilers for a movie that's coming out sometime in the future. So just be warned, there is a major spoiler in there, but it has an idea in it that I find very intriguing, so you can Google that if you want.
And what we're going to talk about in a little bit, there's now a slot open at this time for this to slide in there. So it's interesting that it has, like this, we have the news we're going to talk about in a little bit, that moves out of the way, this slot's in there, so maybe this is the one that's going to kind of take that mantle at that time.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to see Venom on the big screen. Back in the day when James Cameron was going to do his Spider-Man movie, he was going to do Leonardo DiCaprio's Peter Parker, and they were going to have Venom as the villain. I thought it would have been awesome. What I saw with Spider-Man 3, I was extremely disappointed with. Topher Grace, to me, he's not Eddie Brock.
Nope.
Like the Venom they put on screen was not what I'm used to. And you're right, in the comic books, they turned him into kind of like an anti-hero. Yeah. Where before he was just a straight-up villain. Right. They probably will go the anti-hero route with the spin-off instead of a full-blown villain. But I would like to see Tom Holland as Spider-Man in there.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
The long wait for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is almost over, but James Gunn is already thinking about a Volume 3. The writer and director behind Marvel's space opera has been making the press rounds for his horror film, The Belko Experiment, when the complex asked about the prospect for a third movie. Gunn said, "There will be a Guardians 3, that's for sure. We're trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, really. That's all it is. I got to figure out where I want to be, what I want to spend the next 3 years of my life doing. I'm going to make another big movie. Is it the Guardians or something else? I'm just going to figure it out over the next couple of weeks." Rocha, are you surprised to hear a Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will be happening, and do you think James Gunn will be directing?
I'm not surprised at all, and I hope James Gunn is directing, but I like his quote. He's like, we'll see if I feel like it. We'll see, which means like, pay me more money. That's the subtext of that quote, is pay me more money if I'm going to do this and blah, blah, blah. But I think he talks about this because there's probably a lot of great feedback coming back to him about Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Everyone's excited about every trailer that's come out. No one's had any negative buzz about this film. And so, to me, this is him saying, yeah, it's going to come out. And even if it's not that good of a film, there's no way they're not doing a 3, just because if there's a mistake in 2, there's still enough goodwill to make a third one. So I'm not surprised by this. And I think it's good that he's talking about it, because it lets people know that, like, to get excited about it, and it's going to be in Avengers, in Infinity War, they're going to make an appearance there. All that stuff's going to happen. So, to me, I'm not surprised about it at all. What I'm surprised is that they're talking about it this early before 2 comes out, or 2 has any kind of, what I'm saying, any early screenings. And so, because I don't know if anyone's clamoring for a Guardians of the Galaxy 3 yet, because we want to see what 2 is like first to see what we want to get excited for if there's going to be a 3. But I think it's a smart move by him career-wise to talk about it like this, and of course gets all of us fans excited that there's going to be more coming down the pike with these group of heroes.
Perry?
I'm clamoring for one. It's just because I love Guardians 1 so much. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's my favorite Marvel movie. And I have the highest of hopes for 2. I really think there's a good chance he knocked it out of the park again, and it's going to crush it at the box office too. Yeah. And I want a 3. I will say, though, I don't agree that I read this quote and thought money. I'm sure James Gunn is a guy who likes money, but I also think first and foremost for him, or at least the impression I get from having been part of roundtable conversations with him or just hearing him talk at Comic-Cons and stuff like that, he puts the craft and the creative above all else. And I really do read this quote and think, you know, I love Guardians, but look at all this other stuff I can make and want to make, because he's made some super interesting, unique, original projects. I mean, you have a picture of Belko right behind you. He wrote that, and I know he's got passions that lie elsewhere. I have a hard time wrapping my head around the idea of getting another Guardian-specific movie without James Gunn at the helm, because that first movie, I looked at that and I'm like, this guy just got it. This is beautiful and it works. I mean, there's a lot of people involved in making Guardians, so I can't take credit away from them because it's a team effort, but James Gunn got it. He pulled that movie together in a very specific, unique way that I think is only going to work with him in the director's chair. So the thought of possibly getting another director does make me a little nervous. And he also had said some quotes about Infinity War, and I love the fact that the Guardians are in Infinity War and he has an executive producer role. So I just like the fact that he is still going to be overseeing those characters to an extent in that movie.
Before I get to Guardians, some people in the chat room were talking about Alex Kurtzman directing the Venom movie. He was attached before, but apparently THR is saying that he's no longer attached. So I don't know exactly if they're looking for a new director or what. As far as the Guardians stuff, Guardians 3 is a no-brainer. People are clamoring for it because, I mean, I really like Guardians of the Galaxy a lot, but I've talked to numerous people like yourself where it's their favorite Marvel movie. And so they see the trailers for the second one, they want the third one. What would be cool is if the third one, because, you know, a lot of these MCU movies right now are all moving towards, obviously, Avengers Infinity War. Maybe Guardians, whenever it comes out, it'll be something different, and maybe it's not so much attached to what's going on with the rest of the MCU, and maybe that's something James Gunn can be excited about. But, like, I'm with you, Perri. I don't think it's about money, because I think at this point with what Guardians did and what Guardians 2 is probably going to do, he can do whatever he wants, right? Any studio is going to give him a project, a very big project, pay him a lot of money to do it. So I think it's more about, he mentioned in that quote, the next 3 years of my life. Like, does he want to spend the next 3 years of his life creatively working on Guardians, which he's already done 2 movies for? So creatively, does he want to express himself in a maybe original project or take on a different franchise?
I wouldn't be disappointed to see him do, as much as I want Guardians 3 directed by James Gunn, I would like to see him do some other things. But back to one of your other points, I'm also not surprised that they're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 now, because as we all well know about the MCU, is they plan these phases out to a T, and it's like you can't have a Guardians of the Galaxy 2, you can't have an Infinity War with the Guardians in it without picturing that roadmap and having some sort of idea of what you want to do for a third movie in this series. And then there's also the fact that Guardians of the Galaxy 1 made an insane amount of money. It made an insane amount of money. I'm sure it made an insane amount of money from selling Baby Groot toys. So if they are not thinking from a business standpoint about 3, then they are making silly decisions. So this is a smart move to me.
Well, I want to clarify. I'm not saying he's a money-hungry guy. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I see this with athletes all the time. They say the same thing. Well, I don't know if I want to be tied to a long-term contract with this team. It's a smart way to speak about it because it says, well, how much creative control can I get if you really want me back for a third one? These are logical steps for me as a director. He wants to get the money and he wants to get a little more creative control because we know studios can come in there. And there has been a law of diminishing returns with a lot of these MCU sequels, right? Except for the Captain America series. People are back and forth about Iron Man 2. Obviously, not a lot of people liked it. People are back and forth about the Thor sequel movies. And so the sequel movies in the MCU don't always necessarily hit it out of the park. So there's that kind of idea of like, well, if I do a third one, I really want to have complete and utter control of this thing and so this may be a way of kind of like starting the groundwork from that place, starting the conversation from that groundwork, like laying the groundwork for that conversation from that place. You know, that's what I feel like he might be doing here. I'm not denying his craft or his focus on being an artist. Absolutely. I'm just saying.
All right, guys, now we're moving on to buy or sell. Sinead, what do we got first?
Warner Brothers has decided to push its release of Aquaman from its original October 5th, 2018 release date to December 21st of the same year. No reason was given for the move, but director James Wan is gearing up to start filming the sea-based superhero movie in Australia within a matter of weeks. Jason Momoa will play the title role, squaring off against villains Black Manta, played by the Get Down actor Yahya Abdul-Mateen, along with Ocean Master, played by Patrick Wilson. They'll be joined joined by Amber Heard as Mara, Willem Dafoe as Aquaman's advisor, Dr. Volko, with Oscar winner Nicole Kidman still in talks to play his mother. Dennis, do you buy or sell the new release date for Aquaman?
Oh, man. I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal moving a few months, especially because Star Wars is not occupying the December like they usually do. The Han Solo spin-off movie will be in May instead. Also, it's going up against a Spider-Man movie, but it's the animated Spider-Man movie, so that's not like a direct... Like, if it was the live-action one, that's a different story. I guess I'll buy it. I'm assuming... Look, the rumored start production date for Aquaman was like May. They were going to shoot in Australia in May this year. Maybe they're going to push it back because maybe they want to rewrite the script. I mean, you already have The Flash being rewritten. You have Batman being rewritten. There's maybe things that DC maybe wants to change that maybe script-wise they have to push back the production of it, which inevitably will push back the release date. So I'll buy it for now. Perri?
I am going to buy it, and I'm going to buy it because I think this is just a smart business move. You drop a gigantic superhero movie in October, it'll do well. You drop it in December, it has like major money potential there. I mean, obviously, summer and Christmas time is big money territory. It's a smart move, especially now that Avatar is definitely not in play that month. The only big competition it would have is that animated Spider-Man movie, and it's, you know, that'll be an interesting battle that I'm curious to see how it will play out and if something winds up trying to steer clear of the other in the end. But I definitely don't think this is cause for alarm with anything like rewrites. Maybe, if anything, they'll use that extra time to look at the movies that came before it, like Wonder Woman and Justice League, and say, well, this worked, that worked. It's kind of like the reshoot scenario where, I mean, that's the best part of reshoots and having that extra time to just, you know, retool and refine. So two extra months will only make that movie better, and moving from October to December will only give Aquaman a better shot at making a lot of money.
Rocha?
Well, as is sometimes the case, I disagree with my two friends here. I sell it completely because I think when you put this with the Flash debacle, with the stuff that's happening with Batman, with some of the early buzz, whether true or not, about Justice League, about Wonder Woman, not necessarily getting there, this looks like just another a log to throw on this fire that's blowing DCEU up. And it bothers me a lot because it gives this indication that they don't know what's going on. They don't know what they're doing. Whether it's true or not, it still gives that kind of vibe off that they're pushing this now. They pushed Flash. They know they can't find a director. They're pushing Batman. They got to find a new director. Who's going to write it? Who's going to script? Like, there's so many questions about it that it looks like they don't know what they're doing. And whether it's true or not, it's the illusion of it, right? It's the way it shows. And so to me, I still like it bothers me because once again it shows they're not sure when they're going to drop this movie. Well, now we'll move it here and whatever. And you might be right, Perri. It gives them more time to work on the script, more time. And if they come out of, and this is not like Momoa's not some box office draw. Conan the Barbarian fell on its face. So you're not coming. And Aquaman is not the most well-known or well-liked Justice League member. So there's a lot going against going with this solo Aquaman movie. So dropping it in October would have given it more time to get legs and buzz going into Christmas. Now coming off of Christmas with all these Oscar-nominated movies that usually come out during Christmas time too, it might get lost in the shuffle eventually. And so my concern here is if they move it to December, what is the reasoning behind moving it to December? Was it just to capture this market at this time, or is it because they really don't know what they've got going on with this Aquaman movie, and they need more time to work on the script, more time to make it work with the Justice League stuff? I don't know. So to me, it just kind of doesn't leave me with a great feeling, that's for sure.
All right, what's next?
Lionsgate has debuted 4 new clips from their upcoming Power Rangers movie. The movie follows 5 ordinary high school kids who must become something extraordinary when they learn that their small town of Angel Grove is on the verge of being obliterated by an alien threat. The big screen adaptation is right around the corner and set for March 24th. Perri, buy or sell the new clips from Power Rangers?
Why do we even bother? Of course I buy this. And I think they really, I mean, aside from the fact that I'm a huge Power Rangers fan, I'm clearly very much looking forward to this movie. I really do think these are rock solid clips. It's a good balance of, you know, that high school charm and banter between the characters. I like the look of these settings here. I kind of like the look of the Zord in action. That's one thing that I think I can't really judge it too much until I see it in the final cut of the movie. But I will say for that one particular clip where we do see Zach driving his, I really think that Looney Lin, I believe his name is going to wind up being my favorite. He is clearly the comedic relief in most of these clips, and he's selling it really well. And he was, if you haven't seen our Power Rangers interview from Comic-Con last summer, I mean, he has like a great personality. He was absolutely delightful, and I really like how all of them work together. There's also that other clip called Leave, where we have Dacre Montgomery with Naomi Scott. And, you know, some people may look at that dialogue and say, oh, it's a little, you know, YA and childish. But they're playing teenagers, and I think the two of them gave good enough performances that they sell it really well. Everything is shaping up in a really positive manner for this movie. So I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. I don't think it's going to come out and convert everybody out there. I don't think anyone's going to be calling it a masterpiece, but I do think that Dean Israelite is going to achieve what I'm hoping for, and that's to deliver a really fun, wild ride that is going to be super charming, and it's just going to make people happy.
Rocha.
Yeah, you know what? I buy them. And I was surprised to buy them. Some of the dialogue is a bit cheesy. You know, I mean, don't criticize Transformers dialogue. You're not going to criticize this dialogue. I mean, some of this dialogue is kind of cheesy, but...
What you talking about, J-Lo?
You're not black. Hey, you're not black. Yeah, I mean, that stuff got to go. But I get what they're going for, the market they're going for with these, and the clips all work, and they definitely show that it's a high production value on this film. You know, the special effects look really, really well done and very intricate, and I like that. It means that they didn't want to just throw this out as some kind of a glorified TV movie. They literally put a lot of time and effort into this, and the interaction between the kids is very believable. Like their chemistry and the way they communicate with each other is very believable. They each have their roles, and they play it well, you know, and I like Bill Hader is great doing the voice. I enjoyed that. And yeah, some of the conversations, they are YA, but this is who they are. You're right, Perry. And so for me, it left me feeling like if I was a fan of this franchise, I would be happy with these clips and be excited to go see the movie, knowing that the studio has given the right time and attention to this property, that I will feel okay. Whether it's great, whether it's going to be hit all the marks or not, I will still feel like it's got a chance to do that. And that's all you want when you buy a ticket to go see a movie like this. My concern is I want to see Cranston. I want to see more of Elizabeth Banks.
There is a clip, actually. He was on the Today Show the other day, and they showed a pretty extensive clip of him as Zordon giving a whole spiel. And,
gotcha.
You know, I thought it looked pretty good.
Great. I want to see more of that, and I want to see a little more of Rita Repulsa. It bothers me that they're kind of hiding Elizabeth Banks a little bit.
I like that,
You do?
actually. I like
me.
that these clips feel like they came from the first act of the movie for the most part, but... You know, you need some sort of surprise, and I've seen enough of her in all the trailers and all the TV spots where she looks badass. She looks like she's selling it well, and you got to discover something in the movie.
That's true, and that's fair. But my concern with Elizabeth is like she's great in comedies, but in drama sometimes she doesn't quite get there. And in the horrors, I really didn't like that horror film she did. So to me, it concerns me that they're kind of hiding her. But it may be what you said, Perry. Absolutely, maybe that they just want to keep this as a surprise for the fans, and that's great because she's a main villain.
What horror movie is it? The Uninvited?
Yeah, The Uninvited.
Oh wow,
or whatever.
I haven't thought of that.
She was like
forever.
the mom in that. It was, So, and I love Elizabeth Banks. She's great in comedies. On those Pitch Perfect movies, in 40-Year-Old Virgin, she's hilarious in her scenes. So she's great with that. But sometimes in the drama, it's a little uneven.
Yeah, I don't think this one's going for an Oscar, so I think she'll just be fine. I'm going to buy these clips. I like it. Like I said, I didn't grow up on Power Rangers, but I like what they're doing with the marketing. I like the tone of these clips. I like what Dean Israelite is doing with it. I enjoyed Project Almanac, and I get that kind of vibe, Chronicle / Project Almanac vibe with this film. And Rocha, you mentioned the chemistry between the actors. Yeah, I remember when they came in, when we interviewed them for Comic-Con, they just had a nice chemistry, even off screen, and I'm, kind of semi-interested in seeing this movie now. So
I've converted everybody.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of myself.
I have more hopes for this movie than I do for the Transformers
last
night.
There's no need for that shot.
And I actually, even though you didn't like it, I actually liked that scene where with the colors and the.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because it reminded me of the Key and Peele sketch. Where it was a Power Rangers kind of parody where it was like where Jordan Peele played I think the Green Falcon and they kept calling the Black Falcon and then at the end he called himself the Black Falcon. Anyway, yeah. So for me, I'm interested. Wendy and Sinead, are you guys interested in seeing the Power Rangers movie?
Yep. I have been for the whole time we've been talking about it. I don't think anything's
Seems
gonna.
like forever.
Yeah, we really have. I don't think anything's gonna change. There are things I love about what I've seen. There are things I like about what I've seen, but I haven't disliked anything that I've seen. If I've never like walked away and been like, that was an awful trailer, or that was lame. I like everything I've seen so far. I do know someone who went to see it, and she said Rita Repulsa was creepy as hell and like really scary and just exceeded her expectations. And I was most nervous about that. Like I wasn't sure. I can totally understand where you're coming from. I wasn't sure if I was going to buy Elizabeth Banks as a villain, if I would look at her and be scared by her. So hopefully that's a popular opinion, but yeah, definitely going to see it.
Cool. Wendy?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I mean, I'm not jumping out of my seat to like go stand in line, the day before to get tickets, but I am interested in seeing it. I've liked what I've seen so far, except for Alpha 5. Still looks creepy.
You don't like Bill Hader?
No, I like Bill Hader. I just like from what he used to be in the TV show to this like little pervy robot.
Oh, I think Alpha 5's actually been
pervy?
working a lot
What'd you
better.
say?
She keeps calling it a pervy robot.
Like, I don't
Why
know,
is he
just-
pervy?
I don't know.
He
You
just
did that
looks
last week
pervy
too.
to me.
You think that thing looks pervy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pervy.
I actually think in action in this clip,
Yeah.
I mean,
He's great.
he looks
Like he
kind of
looked like he
cute
stares
and
at you from
fun.
afar.
And I like the Zord stuff. I really enjoyed that Zord stuff. It makes
Give me the
sense.
creeps.
Like it's a great way to do that.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
spend-
Voltron. Like
There's two conversations, and I
Voltron.
see you guys trying to switch over there.
I'm
Yep,
glad.
There we
Sorry.
go.
I'm glad you said what you said, Sinead. That puts me at ease. Then that they're
Yeah,
just
I
hiding
mean,
her
like
to
that's
show
one
her in
opinion,
certain things.
you never know.
Yeah.
But that's the hope.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Universal Pictures has announced Skyscraper, a new action movie starring Dwayne Johnson, written and directed by Ross and Marshall Thurber, Johnson's Central Intelligence Director. The movie follows Johnson's character Will Ford, a former FBI hostage rescue team leader and U.S. war veteran who now assesses security for skyscrapers. During an assignment in China, Will suddenly finds himself framed for setting the world's tallest, safest building ablaze. Now a wanted man on the run, Will has to clear his name and find those responsible, but also must save his wife and children who are trapped inside the building. The movie is set for release on July 13th, 2018. Rocha, buy or sell the new movie Skyscraper starring The Rock.
I mean, I couldn't buy this more. You checked every box. Former FBI hostage rescue guy, done. Former military guy, done. The Rock, done. Like putting in a skyscraper. I love disaster movies, so to me, this hits all the box or checks all the boxes that I need to check for me to be super excited, want to go see opening night. I love The Rock so much. I mean, the man can't do. I just saw Central Intelligence again the other night on HBO, and the guy who directed it, the gentleman who's directing this is the one who directed Central Intelligence, Ross and Marshall Thurber. He knows how to use The Rock. He knows exactly how to use The Rock and combine the comedy with the action in such a great way in that movie. I think it's the best Kevin Hart movie he's ever done, and so to me, this works really, really well the way they interact with each other. So seeing that he can do that with The Rock, I have nothing but confidence. And it's time we had, I know San Andreas was San Andreas, but this is like almost Die Hard-esque, right? It's got this kind of vibe. It's in a skyscraper. There's rumors that it has a Towering Inferno kind of vibe to it, so which is an old 70s film. If you haven't seen that, please go and enjoy that film. It's awesome. And so to me, this is hits all the right notes, and he's a man on revenge, right? He has to save his wife and children, just like he did in San Andreas. And The Rock is nothing if not great at having to save people and have the lines. And to me, honestly, and this may be controversial, and people may hate me for this, he's a better Schwarzenegger. At this point, for me, he's a better Schwarzenegger. Better actor, better deliverer of those cheesy lines that he has to do, and he's more sympathetic, and vulnerable, and connectable from the audience to him. And I love that about him. Schwarzenegger was badass, but The Rock has a warmth and a vulnerability to him that Schwarzenegger never quite achieved other than Twins or Kindergarten Cop. But in his action movies, The Rock is able to do that in a way that Schwarzenegger hasn't. And I love this about him.
Yeah, I'm going to buy this as well. I mean, on paper, you hear the premise, it's just a typical whatever, but you throw The Rock in there, then you get excited for it. I mean, I thought Central Intelligence was okay. I liked the first half of it. I thought it was pretty funny, and then the second half was kind of standard. But yeah, with The Rock, I remember one of my favorite Rock movies is The Rundown.
Yeah, The Rundown.
And you have Arnold Schwarzenegger make a cameo in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of a passing of the torch to him. Then The Rock kind of did a run of like all those kids films for a while, and I thought, oh man, he's never going to come back from that. Came back, and now he's bigger than he was before. Yeah, I'm just excited mostly just for The Rock. Perri?
Yeah, I'm going to buy this as well. I like The Rock quite a bit. I like disaster movies and the idea of a towering inferno kind of thing. I'm all for that. Yeah. I also really did like Central Intelligence, and I didn't think that I was going to like that going into it based on all the promos that were released, but that really was just a very pleasant surprise. So I'm happy to hear that he's teaming up again with Ross and Marshall Thurber. And I also liked his, what was his movie before with Jennifer Aniston and the RV? Oh, I forget what it's called.
Oh,
but
yeah, with We're the Millers.
Yeah, We're the Millers.
That was good.
I thought
hilarious.
that was
so surprisingly good, yeah.
Yeah, again, another instance where I went to see one of his movies and I didn't think I was going to like it, and I walked out pretty damn happy. Yeah. So I think this is an excellent package. And damn, July 13th, 2018, if this thing is any good and has any buzz going into that release, I mean, The Rock could just have another huge, huge thing on his hands. And, San Andreas is San Andreas.
I liked it, yeah.
I liked it, too.
You liked it for what it was,
I don't
right?
think it's not great in many respects,
right.
but it most certainly serves its purpose, which is having The Rock be an action star that saves the day, a little bit of humor, a lot of disaster. So if this is anything like that and a little better, leaning more towards what I've seen recently from Ross and Marshall Thurber, which I will be able to say by the time this movie comes out, I think I'm going to be happy with Skyscraper. Now I can't even say Skyscraper.
Well, he elevates projects, right?
Yeah.
I think The Rock elevates these kind of simple vehicles, and he does it in such a great way.
He's
because he's so charismatic.
Exactly.
You see him on screen, and when he delivers his lines, you believe, even as cheesy as they are.
Yeah.
The one thing is, man, does the guy ever sleep? Does he have a clone of himself? He's has so many projects going on. He has this thing on CNN, this series coming out about music, and then he also has his, a YouTube channel, because I have a friend that works over there where he has his own YouTube channel now that he's taking a big part in, and he has all these movies. He's the Ballers TV show,
which is great.
When does he stop working?
And he has the app, the Rock app, that wakes you up in the morning to work out with The Rock at 4 a.m.
Man.
And he tweets at 4 a.m. and Instagrams at 4 a.m. from his workouts. The
I
man
look
is
at
insane. He's the Black Ryan Seacrest. I've said this all the time. He's the Black Ryan Seacrest. He does not sleep.
I genuinely mean this when I see, because I follow The Rock on Twitter. He is very motivational.
Yes.
And when I see his posts at 4 a.m., I go to the gym at 5:36 in the morning, and sometimes when I'm in a bad mood and I don't want to, I'm not just saying this. I really think about The Rock, because this guy works nonstop. And, we're talking about how he's kind of, in a, cast in a little box with these movies. But he does everything with, producing and all different kinds of content on all different kinds of platforms. And I've really never seen any situation where he hasn't given 100% to something he was doing, which I am just in constant awe of this man.
And don't forget, he was a former professional wrestler. This does not happen. This does not happen. And now, but he laid the groundwork. Batista is now doing this. Batista showing up in Bond movies. So he laid this groundwork to show you that if you work hard, go to those acting classes, and focus, you can achieve something more than the cheesy no-holds-barred that Hulk Hogan did. There's other levels that you can achieve. And that's the thing. He's a great example of working hard.
He was in Rocky 3, too.
Remember
Hulk Hogan
I'm sorry,
was in Rocky.
Thunderlips. Thunderlips. But The Rock is showing if you work hard for what you want, the possibilities are there. And that's what's so great about him. He's just great as an essence, as a person on the planet.
All right, what's next?
According to The Hollywood Reporter, actress Malin Akerman is in talks to co-star alongside Dwayne Johnson and Naomi Harris in the Rampage movie, an adaptation of the classic Midway arcade game at New Line Cinema. Akerman will portray the movie's villain, a calculating head of a tech company that's behind the monsters. The movie is set to begin shooting in Atlanta in April and is set for release on April 20th, 2018. Dennis, buy or sell a Malin Akerman in Rampage as the villain?
I'll buy it. I think it's a good role for her. She's been in some projects that, where she's been pretty funny. I don't think this project is too serious. I didn't really care for her in Watchmen. I thought she was miscast in that role.
I agree.
But this is not Watchmen. Watchmen is a very serious, even though it's a comic book movie, it's rated R, very serious drama comic book film, where this is, I'm expecting to be silly, over-the-top fun, so I think she can play this role well. Perri?
I am definitely going to buy this. I'm getting more and more into the idea of a Rampage movie. And when you add someone like her, because, Watchmen was fine. I actually do still watch and enjoy that when I feel like putting it on. And I think she was okay in that role. I agree, maybe it wasn't the best fit for her, but she is so good. And she has so much range that I don't think the general, like, wide audience is really aware of. So I am very eager to see her in a villain role in this kind of movie. And when you look at that Rampage cast, wow. They now have her. There's Jake Lacey in it, Naomi Harris, PJ Byrne, Marley Shelton, Jack Quaid. I mean, and with Brad Payton and The Rock. There's really no reason to think that this won't be that fun, crazy, like smash everything type of disaster movie video game adaptation that you could want from that.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? It's the last time we covered this on the show. I think one of the intro questions was like, do you think that this could be the video game adaptation we're all waiting for? I don't think it's going to be the next franchise starter in terms of it being like a super deep story, but this really could wind up being one of the most successful video game adaptations because it does seem like they have a lot of room to play. They've got great talent attached. This is easily becoming one of my most anticipated now.
Yeah, there's not much more I can add to what Perri said. I think Perri covers all of it. Malin Akerman, to me, I agree with you, Dennis. I didn't like her as Sally Jupiter. I think that's the character's name from Watchmen. And I was hoping for something more, but that does not mean that she's not a good actress. Like, she's great in Heartbreak Kid, which is one of my closet favorite cheesy films to like. And I saw her in The Trophy Wife, and that got great critical acclaim, that show. It just didn't get enough viewers. And she's doing great work in Billions, she does some nice dramatic work in Billions. If you are watching that show, it is a good show on Showtime. And so to see her do this now, move into this part, I was with you. I was like, is this going to be a serious film? Because then it could be like Cameron Diaz in Any Given Sunday, doesn't quite get there. But this, she has the right acumen to walk that line between comedy and drama, and Matlin will do a great job with that. With that, and so I can't wait to see what she does, and I'm just a fan of hers overall. She always gives what you just said about The Rock. She always gives 100% to whatever role she's in, whether she doesn't quite get there in Watchmen, but in all the other things I've seen her in, she does get there. So I have nothing but high hopes for her in this film, and it'll help to have someone who can play off The Rock.
If you guys haven't seen The Final Girls, you need to watch that. It's like a horror spoof movie that came out last year, and she's a lot of fun in that.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
All right, guys, before we move on to mailbag, I want to remind you that we're going to take your live tour questions at the end of the show. You can tweet us at Collider Video. Also, I want to remind you, a lot of videos that have dropped or are going to drop for Collider Video. We have all-new Schmodown between Josh McCouga and Jeff Snyder. And there's actually going to be a pre-match between Mark Andreyko and Jay Washington. Yesterday, we had an all-new Jedi Council. We have the March Madness Villains Tournament. A new video went up yesterday, so take a look at that and vote. Also, a new Awesome Tackler comes out on Go 90. That drops today. This weekend, we have two mailbags. We have Perri's show, behind the scenes, and bloopers coming out.
Very cool episode.
What is this one about?
So we're actually taking the title of the show, Behind the Scenes, to heart. And if you were watching Movie Talk yesterday, we had a little GoPro here. We're doing legit behind the scenes, so you're going to be able to see what Movie Talk looks like from our perspective. And because he's never going to take credit, I already saw an early cut of it. And Frank, our editor, this is one heck of an episode. I think this one might be the one I'm most excited about.
I'm excited to see it as well. We also have a Star Wars Rebels review going on Saturday. Also on Sunday night, we're going to have the Walking Dead review with special guest Thomas Paine, who plays Jesus on the show. So
Jesus.
Yeah, take a look out for that. Now let's move on to mailbag. Sinead, what do we got first?
Rocky writes, greetings, Collider crew. I just watched Amistad yesterday, and I noticed for the first time that Chiwetel Ejiofor is in the movie. This got me wondering who are some actors you didn't realize were in certain movies the first time you saw them, but now that the actor or actress is more famous, you notice them. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
For me, Samuel Jackson, Goodfellas. This is way before he was famous. He was in a ton of movies, but that's the one I always like. I watched it, because Goodfellas is my favorite movie, and I watch it all the time. So when I watched it afterwards, I was like, is that Samuel Jackson? Joaquin Phoenix in Space Camp. I forgot. He's credited as a different name. I forgot his actual name. I don't think it's like
Leaf, isn't it? Leaf?
Yeah. Leaf Phoenix or something like that.
Schmodown.
Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau in Rudy.
Yes.
Before Swingers and before either one of them became big, they were in that film. What are some for you guys?
I have a Walking Dead one.
Okay.
Seth Gilliam in Starship Troopers, who plays Father Gabriel.
Ah, yes.
It's like I just knew of him from Starship Troopers because I had watched that movie God knows how many times at this point. But it wasn't until he popped up in Walking Dead that I'm like, oh, you're the same person. That's cool. And then I'm also slightly addicted to heavyweights. So until I got a little older and I started to watch more movies, just to think that Tim Blake Nelson and Paul Feig are in that's really freaking cool. There's so much fun in that too.
Yeah. Well, for me, if you go and watch the old Excalibur movie from 1981, you have Gabriel Byrne, Liam Neeson, Patrick Stewart, and Helen Mirren, all that. And they're initially just unrecognizable. Helen Mirren somewhat is recognizable, but Patrick Stewart is it's one of his first movie roles. He had just come off stage doing Shakespeare stuff, which is why I got cast by John Boorman. But Gabriel Byrne and Liam Neeson are so small parts in that movie. But when you go back and see, you're like, oh my gosh, you're like, they're so young watching that. And then Daniel Day-Lewis and Gandhi. If you've ever seen Gandhi, Daniel Day-Lewis plays the racist guy that tries to push Gandhi off the sidewalk when he's still a lawyer and has all his hair. And it's literally a 30, 45-second scene. But that's Daniel Day-Lewis. And then Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street. Remember him, or Kevin Bacon in Friday the 13th. I think also Cuba Gooding Jr. in Coming to America is the guy getting the younger kid getting his haircut when they're talking about Rocky Marciano and Muhammad Ali and all that. And then also Benicio del Toro in Big Top Pee-wee. He's almost unrecognizable as the dog-faced boy if you go see that. So there's a number. It's always fun to just go back and just go, oh man,
everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a big success all overnight.
No one can be Chris Klein.
Yeah. Wendy, Sinead, do you guys have any actors or actresses?
Well, that's why the video started playing, because I was looking up who I was thinking of. So Disney Channel does their DCOMs all the time, right? So they'll put out their Disney Channel original movies. Sorry, the Disney Channel.
Yeah, I was like, what did you say? Are we talking
Sorry.
a different language? I know I'm
Disney Channel
older
original
than you.
movies, but there's this. I don't know how I got in the conversation with it just a couple days ago, talking about all the DCOMs you've seen, because that was your childhood was waiting for the new DCOM. But there was one that I was like, oh, I hated that movie, and I realized it's right on track, and it's about two girls, and they're like race car drivers, and they're like 15, makes no sense. But Brie Larson is the star of the movie, and I was just like, what the hell? So I pulled up this thing, and Joe Manganiello, I always forget that he's a bully in Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Right.
That's
So that was what that video was, when Spider-Man stops the paper airplane coming down the hallway, and it stops, and he sees everything moving slow motion. But that's one I always forget. And then Save the Last Dance was one of my favorite movies when I was younger, and Kerry Washington's in that movie, and I always forget about that too.
Wendy?
For me, it was Mean Girls. It's what's his name? The actor's name is, I gotta look it up. He plays Donald Wrestler on The Blacklist, Daniel Clattenhoff, and he was in Mean Girls. And it wasn't until I decided to pop the DVD in 2 weeks ago, and I was like, hey, wait a minute. That was him years ago. It was just he was so much younger, so it was kind of interesting to see that.
All right, guys, that's it for Mailbag. Now we're moving on to your live Twitter questions. You can tweet us at Collider Video. When do we got first?
The first one comes from Jack Hollett, who writes, if Thor Ragnarok hits right balance of humor and action that we hope for, what if Taika Waititi directed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Ooh. Oh, I'm surprised that's not the first thing that popped into my head when I said that James Gunn
that's a good question.
might not direct. Yeah, obviously I can't answer that question to the fullest until I see Thor 3, but I mean, off the top of my head right now, given what I've seen from Taika Waititi and what I've seen so far of Thor, I like the look of that, and I like everything I'm hearing about it. Yeah. I don't see why that couldn't be a good way to work all this out.
I absolutely agree with Perri. Yeah, what we do in the shadows is one of the quietest great comedies that have come out in the last 10 years, and so to me, I would depending on what the results are of this Thor Ragnarok, I'd be excited to see what he could do with it.
Yeah, and with you guys, it's I think it's a good fit, but I mean, we have to wait and see Thor Ragnarok first, and then decide, see if he fits with Guardians.
What about Tim Miller? Would you consider Tim Miller after what he did with Deadpool?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
A. Clay writes, will Beauty and the Beast's relatively low Rotten Tomatoes score hurt its opening box office weekend scores?
It's never going to hit the 200 million mark Ellis is, dreaming of. I think it might take it down, They were conservatively saying, 120, 130, and then people got their hopes up to maybe 150. Maybe this knocks it back down.
The latest prediction I saw was 168, which is huge. It's still low enough that it would make me feel comfortable picking on Ellis for months about the $200 million prediction, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think some of this tracking might be right, and we could be heading towards like a 160 million, if not plus, opening weekend for Beauty and the Beast.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's got 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't the greatest thing to come out with, and there has been some blowback from people who loved the 1991 animated series that they added an extra song that doesn't really work or extra character and some of the music they've messed up, and so there is some backlash to it, but I think it's really critic proof. It's one of these things that people want to go and experience. Whether they're going to go back more than once, I don't know, but I think people are going to go and bring their families and whatever, and that works for the film. One thing I do want to say with Mark Ellis, if you go and follow him on Twitter, if you send him a picture of your ticket for Beauty and the Beast, he donates $1 to the American Cancer Society, I think. So he's doing a really great. He's up to $231 last time.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's his way of supporting the movie, and it also kind of like playfully pushing it past the $200 million mark. But it's a great way to play with that, and so go follow him and tweet him a picture of. And I want more of his money to go to something good rather than his drinking and his enjoying of Panera. So those kinds of things would be great. So
hearing that almost makes me want it to make $200 million.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's American Cancer. If I'm wrong on that, please correct me.
Yeah, I like the movie. I didn't love the movie. However, I've seen it twice. Both screenings I went to, both the children and the adults loved it.
Well,
there's like cheering, clapping, everything. So maybe it is critic proof.
It's going to make a lot of money opening weekend. I don't know if it's critic proof, but I would say it's cinema score proof, if that's a thing. I'll bet you. I don't know what it's sitting at right now. What did they say it was sitting at on Rotten Tomatoes?
68.
68. So I wouldn't be surprised if it
terrible.
stayed there, but wound up with like an A or an A minus in cinema score. Just because, I mean, you could I've nitpicked that movie, but there's still no denying that story just has this effect on you, and those songs and those characters.
The songs really just pull you in.
The set design and the costumes. There are so many great elements of that movie to praise. So I think it might not be completely critic proof, but I think it's general watching audience proof to a point.
The main thing is people have
sense.
issues with Emma's voice not being quite 100% where they want it to be, but Paige O'Hara is a very difficult thing to follow. She's so perfect in singing those songs. So it would have been a high bar for anybody to jump over.
Sinead and Wendy, do you guys think the Rotten Tomatoes is going to hurt Beauty and the Beast?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I went and saw it last night, and it was like the part of the see it first. Like we saw it at 6 p.m. instead of like the regular general public 7, whatever. I don't know what the difference was. We got a badge and a pin that went with it, which is now sitting on my wall. But it was full. And we got there early. We got there at like 6:15 because we forgot that if you got there at 6, then they showed you some of the exclusive content, like interviews and behind the scenes stuff. So you missed about 15 minutes of that. But the theater was full, and it was a lot of like moms and their teenage daughter, and they're all holding hands and just like oohing and awing in every scene. So I really don't think the Rotten Tomatoes is going to affect the box office.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I just think that there's too much hype and curiosity about a movie like this, and nostalgia. If we've ever seen it come into play before, it's definitely going to take over for this. I don't know. I mean, if I'm speaking personally, I'm a little disappointed. Like, I'm a little disappointed. I haven't seen it to see a 60-something percent. It bums me out a little bit. It doesn't make me not want to see it, though. Yeah. But I'm just kind of like, come on, dude. Like, I wanted something incredible. Like, I wanted to go in there and find nothing wrong with it. So it's a little upsetting, but it doesn't take away from the fact, like Rocha said, like, it's hard to do this. It's hard to do a live action of any movie, but I freaking love Jungle Book, and I freaking loved Cinderella. Yeah. So I want to freaking love Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. Well, if anyone wants to watch the original, you can watch the original with Sinead, Wendy, Natasha, and Ashley Mova. Oh. We have a commentary video for the original animated movie.
I should have been on that as the Gaston of the crew.
Okay. All right, what's next?
This one comes from Tyler, who writes, why do amazing actors like Oscar Isaac do crappy direct-to-video movies in between their big roles?
Money.
Yep.
Money.
I also don't think anybody signs on to a movie being like, oh, I'm just going to make a quick buck fuck, and this is just going to go direct to video.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you just don't know.
Come on, Ben Kingsley knew Blood Rain was going to go direct to video.
Blood Rain 3, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
like sometimes you know.
Bruce Willis knows. Bruce
you know,
Willis knows.
Some of them know.
Maybe there's a director or a producer or someone that they really want to work with, support. There's a million reasons that something can pan out that way.
A million reasons. There's maybe five. I mean, there's maybe five.
They all about money.
Well, no, but you've got to pay for that extra. You got kids, you got alimony, you got extra additions to your house you want to do, and many actors have come out and said that in interviews. Like they take these jobs for money, and there's nothing wrong with that. We take jobs for money. You work, and you got to work and do what you got to do. I just did a movie that premiered 2 nights ago at Chinese. I'm a
Hell or High Water?
I'm gonna say Hell or High Water 2, the prequel. No, it was I'm one of the co-leads in the movie, but Armand Desante's in the movie, Dominique Swain's in the movie, Joanna Krupa's in the movie, Rob Gronkowski's in the movie, and the way they got into the movie was they met their quote. The producers met their quote, and they came on and did it for money. And there's nothing wrong with that,
So are you inviting us to the premiere?
No, please. I'm terrible in it. Don't go see me in it. Go see it, but don't go see me in it. I left my screening halfway through. I was just embarrassed of how bad I was. But everyone else is fantastic in the movie, so go see it and see what you do. But that's the example, right? And I talked to Armand Desante about it. Yeah, there are actors who just meet. If you meet their quote, they will show up on set and do the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Let's do one last one.
Okay, this one comes from Gigi, who writes, do you want to see Greg back as 007, or would you prefer someone new? I would like to see Dan Stevens take over.
Oh.
That's
Well,
an
I like
interesting
that
choice.
answer.
Dan Stevens?
Dan Stevens from Beast.
I'll watch
Beauty and the
Dan
Beast.
Stevens in just about anything
Yeah,
now,
he's great. Legion.
especially after The Guest, too.
Yeah.
Dude can kick some ass.
I love Daniel Craig as Bond, but after seeing the last one and just hearing his quotes on the movie itself, it just doesn't sound like he's into it anymore. So I would want someone that wants to be Bond to play Bond. So that's why I'd want to see. Dan Stevens is great. There's a bunch of other people as well.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy's my choice. I would love to see, if you're going to keep the badass, violent Bond, then I think Tom Hardy's a great choice to play it, And he doesn't have to be monosyllabic in this either. So he can actually speak full sentences, which I'd like to see him do again. So I'd be excited to see him in that.
All right. That's it for today's episode of Collider Movie Talk. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank people joining us at the table today. Perry?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Perri Nemiroff. We've got Collider Behind the Scenes dropping tomorrow at 2 p.m. PSD, so check that out. And also, the movie I produced, Child Eater, is coming out at the end of the month, March 28th. So Google, I'll tweet about it. Check that out.
Rocha?
Yeah, you guys can always find me at The Rocha Says, Rocha, on Twitter and on Instagram. Every Sunday night, as long as Walking Dead is on the air, we're doing the Collider Walking Dead review show with Perry. I think Dennis might be sitting out this weekend, but we've got Jesus coming on, Tom Payne and Josh Pakuga, of course. So that'll be a fun one for you guys to watch with us. Also, the Cinephiles, our new episode dropped today. We had Michael Vogel as our guest, who is an executive on the My Little Pony movie and also a personal friend of mine, and we talked about 1991's Beauty and the Beast. It seemed the right time to talk about it, so we go on for almost an hour and 40 minutes about that movie and the production history, and it's such a great episode, one of our favorite episodes that we've ever done. And my movie is called You Can't Have It. If you want to go see it, it's in select theaters. It came out this Friday, today, so go and see it and see what you think, and feel free to tear me apart on Twitter, and there you go.
Wendy, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube at The Movie Couple Channel and on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
Sinead?
I'm online at Sinead DeVries and at thatsosinead.com. Huge weekend of TV. We have Iron Fist and all the Amazon pilots, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot to say about it come Monday, hint, hint. So, yeah, TV Talk on Monday, and then back next Friday for Movie Talk.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Thanks to Adam and Cody in the back. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/collidervideos, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.